Good morning, boys and girls. I'm Jason Nye, and I'm your story time teller this week. Unfortunately, as you can tell, we're not doing it in person. God had other plans for us this Sunday, and so I'm coming to you via video, whether it's the morning or the afternoon or the evening, whenever you're watching this. But today, I want to talk to you about plans. Something I thought about when I was thinking about plans is this. Have you guys ever seen one of these before? I'm sure you have. You know, this is a instruction manual for a Lego set that one of my sons owns. It's for Lego Movie 2. And you know, if you follow these instructions step by step, brick by brick, you can build something really cool. Something maybe a little like this cool vehicle from the movie, right? And so it looks a lot like what was in the movie, so you can play with it and enjoy it, and it's kind of cool, right? But you had a plan, right, to build it. It would be really difficult if you had to try and build that from your imagination, which, I really like playing Legos and seeing what I can build, but, if you don't have a plan, sometimes you build something and you're not quite certain what it is, right? So you end up with something maybe like this that, although it's kind of interesting and cool and from your imagination, you're not certain really what it is. So you may not want to play with it as much. But that reminds me about God and our story today, because God had a plan to protect his people. And that story actually comes from the book of Esther, which is in our Old Testament. So here's my Bible, right? And we turn to that story. It's in the Old Testament, Esther here. And we're going to hear about Esther and the Jewish people that were living in Persia. You might recall in our previous stories that some of the Jews had returned to Judah and specifically to Jerusalem to rebuild the temple. And they started to do that and kind of stalled out, made some excuses, and God sent some prophets, Zechariah and Habakkuk, to go and encourage the Jews. And so they went and they continued and they finished that work, right? But some of the Jews stayed back in Persia. And so they were there living amongst the Persian people, and it started to become not very safe for them. But God had a plan to protect those people. And today what I've done is, with the help of my children, is we put together a little video to tell the story of Esther. So I hope you'll sit back, enjoy the story, and then after you hear the story, come back so we can talk a little bit more about that story. And I have a special activity for us if you want to stick around. Thanks.
Oh, hey, I'm Betsy. Good night, Lego. Oh, I want to see gates open. Ow!
Once upon a time, there was a king of Persia, and his name was Xerxes, and he ruled over all the land of Persia. But many years earlier, there was a king named Cyrus, and he had sent many of God's people back to Judah to rebuild the temple in Jerusalem. But some of God's people stayed in Persia. God's people were called Jews because they were from Judah. Now, Xerxes, the king of Persia, didn't like his queen. She had done something very bad to him, so he got rid of her. So he was in need of a new queen. So he selected a woman by the name of Esther. Esther was a Jew, but she did not tell the king that she was a Jew. This is Mordecai, and he is cousin to Esther. He's also an important leader who worked for the king. One day while he was out and about, he overheard Haman talking to a friend, sharing his plan to kill all the Jews. This made Mordecai very upset. Esther found Mordecai and asked him, "Why are you so upset?" Mordecai shared with Esther, "I heard Haman's plan. He wants to kill all of the Jews. You have to do something." Esther said, "But no one can approach the king unless the king calls on that person. The punishment is death unless the king holds out his scepter. Then you may live." Mordecai said, "You're a Jew. If you don't do something to stop Haman or his evil plan, he'll kill you too. Maybe this is why you're the queen." So Esther asked Mordecai and the rest of the Jews to fast for 3 days. She said, "Then I will go to the king, even if it means that I might die." And on the 3rd day, Esther went to see the king. And when the king saw Esther, he raised his scepter. "What is it, my queen?" the king asked. "What do you want to ask me? I'll give you anything, up to half my kingdom." Esther said, "Would you and Haman come to a feast?" So Haman and the king went to Esther's feast. After eating, the king said, "What do you want, Queen Esther? I'll give you anything, up to half of my kingdom." "Come to my feast tomorrow," "Come to my feast tomorrow," Esther said. The king agreed. On the next day, Haman and the king went to Esther's feast. After eating, the king said, "What do you want, Queen Esther? I'll give you anything, up to half of my kingdom." Esther spoke up. "There's a plan to kill me and my people." The king replied, "Who is responsible for this plan?" "This evil enemy, Haman," Esther said. The king was very angry. He punished Haman and made a law to keep the Jewish people safe from their enemies. Well, that video was a little silly, I admit, but it was a lot of fun to make. And I hope that you caught the important part there that, Mordecai says to Esther, maybe that's why you're the queen, right? God was in control over Haman's evil plan the entire time. And like Haman, Satan is trying to ruin or destroy believers like us, right? He's trying to separate us, and he thought he had won when he had put Jesus on the cross and he had died. But no, Jesus rose again and he made a way so that we can be with the Father and have that relationship with him. I am so thankful for that good news. I hope you are too. Now, I love the story of Esther, and one particular version I really like is VeggieTales. I don't know if you've had the chance to see that or not. Again, it's a little bit old now probably, but what I thought we could do today together to help us remember the story of Esther and the important role that she played in God's plan to protect his people is that we could draw together. I love to draw, and so what I'm going to do is, if you don't mind, if you will grab a sketchbook or a piece of paper to draw on, an eraser, and a pencil. Yours doesn't have to look like mine. It can be any old pencil, 2B, whatever you use for school. Just have it sharpened, ready to go. And in just a moment, I'm going to set up the camera so that we can go and you can see my sketchbook. And we're going to draw Esther from the VeggieTales together. So hit pause, go get your supplies, and then come back and you can watch and we can draw this together. And then once you're done, I'd love to see all of your guys' creations. Send them, post them on Facebook, send them in to Mary so we can share and everyone can see everybody's artwork. Thanks so much. Have a great Sunday and God bless. Girls, if you've got your paper and a pencil and your eraser, we can begin. What you're going to do is, to begin drawing Esther, we're going to draw a spoon shape for her head and body. So her head is just like I said, think about a spoon. You know, it's got that large rounded end on it, right? And then it comes down like this. And then she's real skinny. Down like so. So she's got kind of her head, and then what you're going to do is you're going to do what we call a guideline for her facial feature. So we'll kind of split that oval, this is her head, in half, and that will tell us where we want to draw her nose, okay? So then we're going to draw her nose. It's going to go kind of right there in the center, right? It's just an oval right there in the center. And then we're going to do both her eyeballs, okay? And so those are just going to be ovals about the same size as her nose, and then we'll do her pupils, which are just kind of filling that in a little bit, and then you just want to do eyelashes off of that, and those are just lines that come off that eyeball. So that's her eye. Then what we want to do is we're going to start with her hair, and her hair has a part in it, and so you just want to draw kind of a V right there in the center of her head. And then we're going to indicate the hair, and it kind of frames her face. So you're just going to come down from the top of the corners of those V's, and then on the right side, she has this part that kind of goes on one side. Okay. Then what we can do is we can draw her mouth. So you're going to come underneath the nose and just do a curved line, because we're going to have her smiling, and then do the top of her lip, which is a line that comes up first and then does a V drop, a little dip in the middle, and then you connect to the other end, and then the bottom lip is just you're just going to draw a curved line that connects one end to the other, and that's her lips there. Okay, and then to complete her hair, what we want to do is we're going to draw the bottom of her hair. So we'll just draw these couple lines here to indicate where the bottom of her hair is. And then we're going to do a bell shape is what her hair looks like when it's all said and done. So I'm going to start at the bottom here and curve up to that first place in the top of the V. Then we'll come to the other side and complete the other side of the bell to make her hair on the other side. That's right. And we can fill in a little bit of detail in this hair, show her strands, different strands of hair. Yeah. Until you get it to somewhere you like it. Yeah. And then what we can do is we can fill in her crown. And her crown is just going to have a little circle right here. And what you're going to do then is come off of that, and there's a little horns basically that come off of that like so. And then you just connect that to the top of her head to complete the crown. So that's the crown, and then she's got her hair. Like I said, you can kind of shade that in. And then let's make her face a little bit thinner maybe. Once we complete her hair. Then we'll come down and we're going to make her neck. And you're just going to do a little curved line that connects both of those. And then we'll do her collar. And first we'll do her shoulders. So you're going to come off from one side and do a curved line there, and just mirror that on the other side. And then you're going to connect the two with a U basically. So that's just going to make her collar. Like so. And then to decorate that, it's kind of got a leaf pattern on it. So we're going to start with a smaller leaf here, and then do a little slightly bigger one here, and then another one over in here. And then we'll just come in here and fill in the middle to complete the pattern. Just do that all over. Yeah. And that kind of fills that pattern out for us. Okay, and we'll do the rest of her body. And so it comes off here, down to the middle where she's wearing kind of a ribbon. And just draw that. It's kind of a rectangle shape there in the center of her body. And then off of that, we'll draw the rest of her dress. And so that kind of comes out like so. And then you're going to curve the bottom of it. And then we can draw her feet, although she's a veggie, so she doesn't really have feet. So they're just going to come down here and do that and connect that. Excellent. Then she has a ribbon that kind of goes around her dress. So you're just going to draw one line here, come down to the other, and then connect that with a dot. And that will be kind of the knot of the ribbon. And then there's just 2 strings that hang off of there. You kind of draw these any way you want. Just, again, it's decorations for her dress. And then to complete the ribbon, you can shade this in. And there you have your Esther. Oh, you know what? I forgot her eyebrows. So we need to come up here above the eyes. Just draw those curved lines over there. Yeah. And then we just can kind of fill this in a little bit until you are happy with it. And I'm thinking she looks pretty good. Like I said before, I'd love to see what you guys create. Send your pictures, post them on Facebook with your mom and dad's help. Send them to Mary via email, whatever. I'd love to see what you guys create. Again, come in here and kind of erase these guidelines if you want. Color it in with markers. Any of those things. I'd love to see what you create.